The fluorescent lights of Westfield Mall buzzed overhead as Tanya Morrison felt her knees buckle. The world tilted sideways, bright colors of Christmas decorations blurring into streaks of red and green. She tried to grip the railing near Santa's workshop, but her fingers slipped. The cold tile floor rushed up to meet her. "Mommy? Mommy, wake up." Sophie's small voice pierced through the fog in Tanya's mind. She could feel tiny hands shaking her shoulders, hear the panic rising in her daughter's throat. Around them, concerned shoppers gathered. Someone called for security. Another voice shouted for a doctor. This wasn't how it was supposed to go. Tanya had promised Sophie a magical day. She'd saved up for 3 months to afford the $20 photo package with Santa. Sophie had been so excited that morning, bouncing around their tiny studio apartment in her favorite red dress with white polka dots. She'd practiced her Christmas wish list all week. But now, lying on the cold floor with her 6-year-old daughter crying over her, Tanya knew she'd made a terrible mistake. She should have stayed home. She should have rested. The chemotherapy had drained everything from her, and Dr. Patterson had warned her about overexertion. "Ma'am, can you hear me?" A security guard knelt beside her. "Paramedics are on the way." "No." Tanya forced the word out. "No ambulance. Can't afford it." The guard looked uncertain. "Ma'am, you collapsed. You need medical attention. Please." Tanya struggled to sit up. The world spun. "Just help me to a bench. I'll be fine." She wasn't fine. She would never be fine again. The cancer had spread to her lymph nodes, her liver, her bones. Stage 4. Terminal. The doctors gave her 6 months at best. That prognosis had come 3 weeks ago, and Tanya had been living in a nightmare ever since. Strong hands helped her up. The security guard and a mall employee guided her to a bench near the food court. Sophie clung to her side, small fingers twisted in Tanya's bright blue coat. The coat was 2 sizes too big now. Tanya had lost 40 pounds since August. "Sweetheart, I'm okay." Tanya smoothed Sophie's braids, trying to smile. "Mommy just got a little dizzy." "You promised we could see Santa." Sophie's brown eyes were wide with worry and disappointment. "We will, baby. Just give me a minute." But even sitting down, Tanya felt exhausted. Every breath took effort. Her bones ached. The pain medication had worn off an hour ago, but she'd left the pill bottle at home. She couldn't think straight anymore. The fog in her brain grew thicker each day. What kind of mother brings her dying body to a mall at Christmas? What kind of mother makes promises she can't keep? The line for Santa had grown longer. Families waited with excited children clutching wish lists. Fathers hoisted toddlers onto their shoulders. Mothers fixed crooked hair bows and wiped sticky fingers. Normal families doing normal things. Tanya would never be normal again. Sophie would never be normal again. In a few months, that little girl in the red polka dot dress would be an orphan. The thought made Tanya want to curl up and die right there on the bench. "Mommy, look. The line is moving." Sophie tugged her hand. Tanya forced herself to stand. 1 foot in front of the other. She could do this. She would do this. Sophie deserved at least one more magical Christmas memory. They joined the line. Sophie chattered about what she wanted to tell Santa. A new bike. Some dolls. Maybe a puppy. Normal kid stuff. She didn't mention what was really on her mind. She didn't mention the hospital visits or the scary medicine that made Mommy sick. She didn't mention the nights she woke up crying because she was afraid. But Tanya knew. She heard Sophie talking to her stuffed animals at night, practicing grown-up words. Terminal, and hospice, and funeral. Words no 6-year-old should know. The line moved slowly. Christmas music played over the mall speakers. Mariah Carey singing about all she wanted for Christmas. Tanya wanted so many things. More time. A miracle. Enough money to pay rent after she was gone. Someone to take care of Sophie. A chance to see her daughter grow up, graduate, get married, have babies of her own. She wanted to not be dying at 32. Next. The elf managing the line waved them forward. Sophie practically vibrated with excitement. Santa sat on his throne, a kind-looking older man with a real white beard and genuine smile. Behind him, a photographer adjusted her camera. The whole setup looked magical, with fake snow and wrapped presents and twinkling lights. "Ho ho ho. And what's your name, young lady?" Santa helped Sophie onto his lap. "Sophie Morrison. I'm 6 3/4. "Well, Sophie Morrison, have you been a good girl this year?" "Yes, sir. I help Mommy lots. I do my homework and I brush my teeth and I don't talk back." Santa beamed. "That's wonderful. So what would you like for Christmas?" Sophie leaned in close. Tanya watched from the side, trying to smile for the camera. But then she saw Sophie's face change. The excitement drained away. Her daughter's small shoulders hunched forward. Her voice dropped to a whisper. Tanya couldn't hear the words, but she saw Santa's expression shift. His smile faltered. His eyes widened. He glanced at Tanya, then back at Sophie. Whatever her daughter said, it had shaken him. The photo session ended quickly. Sophie climbed down, suddenly quiet. Santa pressed something into the little girl's hand and whispered something back. Then they were being ushered away, the next family already stepping up. "What did you tell Santa, baby?" Tanya took Sophie's hand as they walked away. "Nothing. Just Christmas stuff." But Sophie wouldn't meet her eyes. And when Tanya looked at her daughter's closed fist, she saw Sophie was clutching a candy cane so tightly her knuckles had turned pale. They made it halfway across the mall before Tanya had to stop again. Her vision blurred. Nausea rolled through her stomach. She leaned against a pillar, breathing hard. "Mommy? Just need a second, sweetheart." But it wasn't just a second. It was several minutes of fighting to stay conscious. Other shoppers passed by, most averting their eyes. Nobody wanted to see someone suffering. Nobody wanted to acknowledge the dying woman ruining the cheerful Christmas atmosphere. "Excuse me." Tanya looked up. A tall man stood before them. He wore an expensive gray suit and a bright red tie. His dark hair was perfectly styled. Everything about him screamed wealth and power, from his leather shoes to his designer watch. "I'm Vincent Hayes." He crouched down to Sophie's level first. "Hi there. You have a very pretty dress." Sophie managed a small smile. "Thank you." Then Vincent stood and addressed Tanya directly. "I was in line behind you. I heard what your daughter told Santa." The words hit Tanya like a punch. Her vision tunneled. "Oh God. Oh no." What had Sophie said? "I overheard her whisper that it's your last Christmas. That you're very sick." Vincent's blue eyes held genuine concern. "Is that true?" Tanya wanted to lie. To brush it off. To grab Sophie and run away. But she was so tired of pretending. So tired of being strong. "Yes." The word came out broken. "Stage 4 cancer. I have about 6 months." Around them, the mall continued its cheerful chaos. Christmas carols played. Children laughed. But in their small bubble, everything had gone still and serious. Vincent nodded slowly. "Who's taking care of your medical bills?" "Medicaid covers some. I can't work anymore, so we're on disability. It's not enough, but we manage." "What about treatment? Are you getting the care you need?" Tanya's laugh was bitter. "The care I need costs about $200,000. I get the care I can afford, which is basically pain management and prayers." Sophie pressed against her side. Tanya wrapped an arm around her daughter, hating that this stranger was witnessing their rock bottom. "I want to help." Vincent pulled out his wallet. "Please. Let me pay for your treatment." The words didn't make sense. Tanya stared at him, wondering if she was hallucinating. Maybe she'd hit her head when she collapsed. Maybe this was a dream. "I don't understand. I'm a CEO. I have more money than I could spend in 10 lifetimes. And I just watched a little girl tell Santa that all she wants for Christmas is more time with her mother." Vincent's voice cracked slightly. "So please, let me help. Let me pay for whatever treatment you need." This was crazy. People didn't just offer to save strangers' lives in shopping malls. Things like this didn't happen in real life. But Tanya looked down at Sophie. At her daughter's hopeful face. At the little girl who might have a chance to keep her mother. And she remembered the instruction to accept kindness without hesitation. "Okay." Tears streamed down Tanya's face. "Yes, thank you. Oh God, thank you so much." Vincent smiled. It transformed his whole face, made him look younger and less intimidating. "Do you have a way home?" "My car and driver are parked outside. The bus comes in 40 minutes. Please let me drive you. Then we can talk about getting you an appointment with the best oncologists in the city." Tanya nodded, unable to speak. This was really happening. A complete stranger had just offered to save her life. As they walked toward the exit, Vincent carrying Sophie on his shoulders and making her giggle, Tanya felt something she hadn't felt in months. Oh, are you wondering if Tanya will survive? Will Vincent's offer really change everything, or is there more to this story? If you want to know what happens next, please subscribe and comment your thoughts below. Do you believe in Christmas miracles? Vincent's car was exactly what Tanya expected. Sleek, black, and expensive. The leather seats were softer than her bed. Sophie pressed her face against the window, watching the city pass by. "Where do you live?" Vincent asked. "Riverside Apartments. Building C." Tanya gave the address, embarrassed. Riverside was the cheap housing complex near the industrial district. The kind of place with broken elevators and doors that didn't lock properly. But Vincent didn't judge. He simply relayed the address to his driver and turned back to her. Tell me about your diagnosis. When were you diagnosed? What type of cancer? Tanya took a deep breath. Breast cancer. I found a lump last February. By the time I could afford to see a doctor in May, it had already spread. They said I was stage 3. Started chemo right away, but it didn't work. The cancer kept growing. 3 weeks ago they told me it's stage 4. Metastasized to my lymph nodes, liver and bones. What did the doctors recommend? An experimental treatment trial at Mercy General. But it costs about $50,000 out of pocket, plus another $150,000 for the specialized care I'd need. My insurance denied it. Said it's not proven effective enough. Tanya wiped her eyes. They offered hospice care instead. Vincent's jaw tightened. What's the trial called? Something with long medical words. Neotech something. Dr. Patterson explained it, but I don't remember all the details. Neotech immunotherapy protocol. Vincent nodded. I've heard of it. One of my companies has a small investment in the research team. The results have been promising. Of course his company was involved. This man probably had his fingers in every medical advancement in the country. When can you start? Vincent asked. I can't. I told you it's too expensive. I'll pay for it. Vincent said it like he was offering to buy coffee. All of it. The treatment, the doctor visits, the medications, everything. Tanya's throat closed up. That's too much. I can't accept that kind of money. Yes, you can. Vincent looked at Sophie, who was still gazing out the window. For her. You have to accept it for her. He was right. Tanya knew he was right. Pride didn't matter when her daughter's future was at stake. Sophie needed her mother. Whatever it took, Tanya had to fight. Okay. Tanya forced the word out. Yes, thank you. I accept your help. Vincent smiled. Good. I'll call Dr. Patterson first thing Monday morning. We'll get you started on the treatment immediately. The car pulled up to Riverside Apartments. The building looked even more depressing than usual, with its chipped paint and broken security gate. Tanya felt ashamed, but Vincent didn't seem to notice. Let me walk you up, he offered. They climbed 3 flights of stairs because the elevator was broken again. Tanya's apartment was at the end of the hallway. She unlocked the door, revealing their tiny studio. Everything they owned fit in this one room. A double bed that she shared with Sophie, a small kitchen area, a bathroom barely big enough to turn around in. But Tanya kept it clean. The bed was neatly made with a bright green comforter. Sophie's toys were organized in plastic bins. A small Christmas tree sat on the counter, decorated with homemade ornaments. It's not much, Tanya said. It's a home. That's what matters. Vincent looked around. But I'd like to help with more than just medical bills. What about rent? Utilities? Food? I can't ask for more. You're not asking. I'm offering. Vincent pulled out his phone. Give me your information. I'll set up direct deposits to cover your expenses. You shouldn't have to worry about money while you're fighting cancer. Tanya wanted to refuse. Wanted to say it was too much. But she thought about the stack of past due bills on her counter. The eviction notice she'd received last week. The empty refrigerator. Okay, she whispered. Thank you. She gave Vincent her banking information. He typed rapidly on his phone. Within minutes he looked up and smiled. Done. You should see deposits by Monday for rent, utilities and groceries. I've set it up to continue monthly. I don't know how to repay you. Get better. That's how you repay me. Vincent knelt down to Sophie's level. And you, young lady, need to help your mom follow doctor's orders. Can you do that? Sophie nodded seriously. Yes, sir. I'm a good helper. I can tell. Vincent ruffled her braids gently. I'll see you both on Monday. We're going to get your mom into that treatment program. After he left, Tanya sank onto the bed and cried. Sophie climbed into her lap, small arms wrapping tight around her neck. Is Mr. Vincent going to make you better, Mommy? I hope so, baby. I really hope so. That night, after Sophie fell asleep, Tanya checked her bank account on her phone. Vincent had deposited $5,000 with a note. For immediate needs. More coming Monday. $5,000. More money than Tanya had seen in years. Enough to buy groceries, pay the overdue bills, maybe even get Sophie some new clothes that actually fit. Tanya cried again, but this time they were tears of gratitude. Monday morning came fast. Vincent called at 8 a.m. sharp. I've arranged an appointment with Dr. Patricia Chin at Mercy General. She's the lead oncologist on the Neotech trial. Can you be there at 11? Yes. Absolutely. I'll pick you up at 10:30. Vincent arrived exactly on time, this time in a bright red sports car that made Sophie's eyes go wide. Can I drive this when I'm a grown-up? She asked. Vincent laughed. If you study hard and work hard, you can have your own someday. The drive to Mercy General took 20 minutes. The hospital was in the wealthy part of town, all glass and modern architecture. Tanya had never been here before. Her treatments happened at the county hospital, which was overcrowded and underfunded. Dr. Chin was a petite woman in her 50s with kind eyes and a no-nonsense demeanor. She reviewed Tanya's medical records with a thoughtful expression. The cancer is aggressive, she said finally. But you're young and otherwise healthy. I think you're a good candidate for the trial. Really? Tanya's heart raced. The treatment combines targeted immunotherapy with a new drug that helps your immune system recognize and attack cancer cells. We've had a 70% success rate in shrinking tumors. Some patients have gone into complete remission. 70%. Those were better odds than Tanya had dared hope for. When can we start? Vincent asked. Today if you're ready. I'll need to run some preliminary tests, but assuming everything checks out, we can begin the first infusion this afternoon. Tanya looked at Vincent. He nodded encouragingly. Yes, Tanya said. Let's start today. The next few hours were a blur of tests. Blood work, scans, consultations with various specialists. Sophie sat in the waiting room with Vincent, who had brought coloring books and snacks to keep her entertained. Finally, around 3 p.m., Tanya was set up in a private infusion room. The space was nothing like the crowded chemo ward at County Hospital. Here, she had a comfortable recliner, a television, large windows with a view of the city. Dr. Chin explained the treatment process. This will take about 4 hours. You'll come in twice a week for the first month, then once a week for the next 2 months. We'll monitor your progress carefully. And the cost? Already taken care of. Dr. Chin smiled. Mr. Hayes has set up a fund to cover everything. You just focus on getting better. As the four dripped medicine into Tanya's veins, Vincent sat beside her with Sophie on his lap. They watched a Christmas movie on the television. Sophie fell asleep halfway through, her head resting against Vincent's chest. Tanya watched this stranger, this billionaire who had no reason to care about them, gently stroking her daughter's braids. He looked content, peaceful. Like this was exactly where he wanted to be. Why are you doing this? Tanya asked quietly. Vincent was silent for a long moment. My sister died of cancer when I was 25. She was only 30. Left behind a husband and 2 kids. He looked down at Sophie. I had all the money in the world, but I couldn't save her. The treatment she needed wasn't available yet. So she died, and I've spent every day since wishing I could have done more. I'm sorry. Don't be sorry. Just get better. Let me do for you what I couldn't do for her. Tanya reached out and took his hand. I'll fight. I promise. Vincent squeezed her fingers gently. That's all I ask. By the time the infusion finished, it was dark outside. Vincent drove them home and walked them upstairs. Before he left, he handed Tanya a business card. My cell number is on the back. Call me anytime, day or night, if you need anything. Anything at all. I will. Thank you, Vincent. For everything. He smiled. See you Wednesday for your next treatment. After he left, Tanya looked at the card. On the back, he'd written more than just his number. He'd written, "You're going to beat this." Tanya taped the card to her bathroom mirror where she'd see it every morning. A daily reminder that someone believed in her survival. That night, for the first time in months, Tanya slept without nightmares. The treatment made Tanya sick at first. Not the bone-deep exhaustion of regular chemotherapy, but waves of nausea that came and went. Dr. Chin said it was normal. Her body was adjusting to the new medication. Vincent showed up for every appointment. Wednesday morning he arrived with breakfast sandwiches and orange juice. He'd learned that Tanya couldn't stomach much before treatment, so he brought bland foods that wouldn't upset her stomach. How are you feeling? He asked as they drove to the hospital. Tired. A little queasy. But better than before, I think. That's good. That means the medicine is working. In the back seat, Sophie hummed along to the radio. She'd grown comfortable with Vincent over the past few days. He'd taken her to school twice when Tanya was too weak to walk. He'd helped with her homework, patiently explaining math problems Tanya's foggy brain couldn't handle anymore. The infusion went smoothly. Tanya dozed off halfway through, lulled by the gentle beeping of monitors and the warmth of the blankets the nurses provided. When she woke, Vincent was reading to Sophie from a picture book about a brave princess. And the princess said, "I'm not afraid of dragons. I'm not afraid of anything when I know my family loves me." Vincent's voice was soft, animated. Sophie giggled at his dramatic dragon voice. Tanya watched them, her heart swelling. In just 1 week, this man had become part of their small family. He showed up, stayed present, and genuinely cared. It wasn't about the money anymore. Money couldn't buy the way he looked at Sophie with real affection. Money couldn't buy the gentle way he held Tanya's hand during the scary parts of treatment. After the session, Vincent drove them to the grocery store. "You need good food. Protein, vegetables, things to keep your strength up." They walked through the aisles, Vincent pushing the cart while Sophie picked out her favorite cereals. Tanya tried to be reasonable, choosing only necessities. But Vincent kept adding things: fresh salmon, organic vegetables, fancy yogurts, good bread. "This is too much," Tanya protested. "Nutrition is part of your treatment. Dr. Chin said so." He had a point. Tanya stopped arguing and let him fill the cart. At checkout, the total came to $300. Vincent handed over his credit card without blinking. Back at the apartment, Vincent helped put groceries away. He organized the refrigerator, placing healthy snacks at Sophie's eye level so she could reach them easily. He threw out the junk food Tanya had been living on when she was too tired to cook. "I'm going to hire someone to help you," Vincent said as he arranged cans in the cupboard. "Help how?" "A home health aide. Someone to come by a few times a week, help with cleaning, cooking, whatever you need. You shouldn't be exhausting yourself with housework while you're in treatment." Tanya wanted to refuse. Having a stranger in their tiny apartment felt invasive. But she thought about how hard it was to clean the bathroom last week. How she'd nearly fainted doing dishes. How Sophie had been eating cereal for dinner because Tanya couldn't stand long enough to cook. "Okay," she agreed. "That would help." Vincent smiled. "Good. I'll arrange it." True to his word, by Friday a woman named Ruth appeared at Tanya's door. She was a round, cheerful woman in her 60s who immediately took charge of the apartment. Within 2 hours she'd cleaned everything, done 3 loads of laundry, and prepared enough meals to fill the freezer for a week. "You just focus on getting well, honey," Ruth said as she organized the meals with labels and heating instructions. "I'll be back Tuesday to check on you." Life fell into a new rhythm. Monday and Wednesday meant treatment days with Vincent. Tuesday and Friday meant Ruth's visits. The other days, Tanya rested while Sophie was at school, gathering strength for the next round. After 2 weeks, Dr. Chin ordered new scans. Tanya sat in the consultation room, heart pounding, while the doctor reviewed the results. Vincent sat beside her, his hand warm on her shoulder. Sophie colored in the corner, oblivious to the tension. "Well," Dr. Chin said slowly, looking up from the computer screen. "This is encouraging." "Encouraging how?" Tanya barely dared to breathe. "The tumors have shrunk. Not dramatically, but about 15%. For this early in treatment, that's excellent progress." Tanya burst into tears. Vincent pulled her into a hug while she sobbed against his chest. 15%. It wasn't a cure, but it was hope. Real measurable hope. "We're going to keep going," Dr. Chin continued. "Same schedule, same medications. Let's see how much more improvement we can get." That evening, Vincent took them out to celebrate. They went to a family restaurant with bright murals on the walls. Sophie ordered chicken fingers and chocolate milk. Tanya managed to eat half a grilled chicken salad, more than she'd been able to stomach in weeks. To progress, Vincent raised his water glass in a toast. To miracles, Tanya clinked her glass against his. To Mr. V, Sophie added, holding up her chocolate milk. "Because he's the best." Vincent's eyes grew suspiciously bright. He cleared his throat. "You guys are pretty great too." As November turned into December, Tanya grew stronger. The nausea decreased. Her energy returned in small increments. She could walk Sophie to school some days. She could stay awake past 8 p.m. She could think clearly for hours at a time. Vincent continued to visit regularly, but it became about more than just medical appointments. He'd stop by in the evenings with takeout dinner. They'd watch movies together after Sophie went to bed. He told stories about his work, making the corporate world sound exciting and funny. Tanya talked about her life before cancer, when she'd been a dental assistant with dreams of going to hygienist school. "You could go back to school," Vincent said one night. "After you're better. I could help with tuition." "You've already done too much." "There's no such thing as too much. Not when it comes to investing in good people." They were sitting on Tanya's couch, a safe distance between them. But Tanya felt aware of every inch of that space. Of how easy it would be to lean closer. Of how much she wanted to. She couldn't think like that. Vincent was being kind, not romantic. He was helping out of guilt about his sister, not because he had feelings for Tanya. She was a charity case, nothing more. But sometimes she caught him looking at her in a way that made her heart race. Sometimes his hand would linger on hers a moment too long. Sometimes the air between them felt charged with possibility. Tanya pushed those thoughts away. She needed to focus on survival, not on impossible fantasies about her billionaire benefactor falling in love with her. Still, when Sophie started calling Vincent Mr. V, and drawing pictures of the three of them together, Tanya didn't correct her. And when Vincent hung those pictures in his office, taking photos to show Tanya how he'd created a whole wall of Sophie's art, Tanya let herself imagine, just for a moment, what it might be like if this was real. If Vincent stayed not because he felt obligated but because he wanted to. If this makeshift family they'd created could become something permanent. If Tanya's second chance at life could also be a second chance at love. But she kept those thoughts to herself, locked away in the secret corners of her heart where hope and fear lived side by side. December arrived with cold winds and the promise of snow. Tanya watched the weather forecast with Sophie, who desperately wanted a white Christmas. Vincent had mentioned taking them to see the Christmas lights downtown, and Sophie talked about it constantly. "Do you think it'll snow before Christmas, Mommy?" "Maybe, baby. We'll see." Tanya felt better than she had in months. The treatment was working steadily. Her latest scans showed the tumors had shrunk another 20%. Dr. Chin smiled more at each appointment, her professional caution giving way to genuine optimism. "Whatever you're doing, keep doing it," the doctor said. "The results are better than I expected." What Tanya was doing, besides taking her medicine, was letting Vincent into their lives completely. He'd become a fixture in their daily routine. Morning calls to check how she felt. Afternoon texts with funny memes to make her laugh. Evening visits that stretched late into the night. They talked about everything. Vincent told her about growing up wealthy but lonely, about parents who were more interested in their social status than their children. His sister Rebecca had been his best friend, the only person who understood him. "When she got sick, I threw money at every specialist, every treatment center. But it wasn't enough. The cancer was too aggressive. She died 6 months after diagnosis." Vincent stared at his coffee cup, lost in memory. Her kids were 5 and 7. Same age range as Sophie. "I see them in her sometimes." "Where are they now?" "Rebecca's kids. Living in Seattle with their dad. He remarried a few years ago. Nice woman. The kids seem happy." Vincent looked up. "I visit twice a year, send birthday gifts, that kind of thing. But it's not the same as having their mother." "You're a good uncle." "I try. But I always feel like I failed them." "Failed Rebecca." Tanya reached across the small table and took his hand. "You didn't fail anyone. You did everything you could. Sometimes cancer wins. That's not your fault." Vincent turned his hand over, lacing his fingers through hers. "That's what my therapist says." "You're in therapy?" 3 years now. After Rebecca died, I had a bit of a breakdown. Threw myself into work, ignored everything else. My assistant finally staged an intervention. Best thing that ever happened to me. Tanya appreciated his honesty. Most men, especially powerful ones, wouldn't admit to needing help. "Do you talk about us in therapy?" "Every week." Vincent smiled. "My therapist thinks I'm using you to process my grief about Rebecca. That I'm trying to save you to make up for not saving her." "Are you?" "Maybe partly. But that's not all of it." His thumb traced circles on the back of her hand. "You're not a replacement for my sister Tanya. You're someone I genuinely care about. You and Sophie both." The air between them shifted. Tanya felt it, that electric charge that appeared sometimes when they were alone. She should pull her hand away. Should maintain boundaries. But she didn't want to. "I care about you too," she said softly. They sat like that for a long moment, hands clasped, eyes locked. Then Sophie came running in from the bedroom, breaking the spell. "Mr. V, can you help me with my math homework? I don't understand fractions." Vincent released Tanya's hand and turned to Sophie with a smile. "Of course. Let's see what you're working on." He was so good with her. Patient, encouraging, never talking down to her. He explained fractions using pizza slices and candy bars, making it fun. Sophie giggled and understood within minutes. Later, after Sophie was in bed, Vincent lingered by the door. "I should go. You need rest." "Stay a little longer?" Tanya surprised herself with the request. "We could watch a movie or something." Vincent's smile was warm. "I'd like that." They settled on the couch with a classic comedy playing on the television. Somewhere during the second act, Tanya dozed off. She woke briefly to find herself leaning against Vincent's shoulder, his arm around her. She should move. Should put distance between them. Instead, she closed her eyes and let herself enjoy the comfort of being held. The next morning, Tanya woke in her bed with no memory of getting there. Vincent must have carried her. The thought made her blush. A text from him arrived at 8 a.m. Hope you slept well. See you this afternoon for treatment. Treatment days had become less scary. Tanya actually looked forward to them because it meant hours of uninterrupted time with Vincent. They'd talk about movies, music, books. He introduced her to podcasts. She taught him about reality TV shows he'd never watched. Wait, they're dating each other's exes? Vincent looked genuinely confused by the show Tanya had described. Why would anyone do that? Drama. It's all about the drama. That sounds exhausting. Says the CEO who deals with corporate mergers and board meetings. That's different. That's just business. This is people's actual lives. Tanya laughed. It's entertainment. You don't have to understand it. Dr. Chin interrupted them for the daily vital checks. After she left, Vincent pulled out his phone. I want to show you something. He pulled up photos of a house. No, not just a house. A beautiful 2-story home with a green lawn, a wraparound porch, and a backyard with a swing set. What is this? A property I'm thinking of buying. What do you think? Tanya studied the photos. The house was gorgeous. Big windows, modern kitchen, 4 bedrooms. Way too big for one person. It's beautiful. But isn't it a lot of space for just you? It's not for me. It's for you and Sophie. Tanya's heart stopped. What? That apartment is too small. Too run down. You need a proper home. Especially with Sophie growing. She needs her own room. A yard to play in. Vincent swiped through more photos. There's a good school district, a park nearby, quiet neighborhood. I think you'd both be happy here. Vincent, I can't accept a house. Why not? You've accepted everything else I've offered. Medical treatment is different from real estate. It's all the same to me. I want you to be comfortable. To have space to heal, to live. Vincent looked at her seriously. Please, let me do this. Tanya thought about Sophie, about how her daughter deserved more than a studio apartment where she couldn't even have friends over. About how nice it would be to have a real kitchen, a yard, separate rooms. Can we at least see it first? Vincent grinned. I was hoping you'd say that. How about this Saturday? Saturday came with clear skies and cold sunshine. Vincent picked them up in his SUV, a vehicle Tanya hadn't seen before. Sophie bounced in the back seat, excited about seeing a house with a yard. The drive took 30 minutes. They headed into a quiet suburban neighborhood with tree-lined streets and well-kept homes. Kids rode bikes on the sidewalks. Couples walked dogs. It looked like something from a magazine. Vincent pulled into the driveway of a maroon-colored house with white trim. It was even more beautiful in person. Sophie jumped out and ran straight to the swing set in the backyard. Come on, Vincent offered his hand to help Tanya out of the car. Let me show you inside. The house was perfect. Hardwood floors, bright windows, a kitchen with granite counters and new appliances. The living room was spacious. Upstairs there were 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. The master bedroom had its own bathroom and a walk-in closet. What do you think? Vincent asked. Tanya stood in the middle of the master bedroom, tears streaming down her face. It's too much. This is too generous. You deserve it. You and Sophie both deserve a real home. But what happens when I'm better? When the treatment ends? You've already paid for so much. I'll never be able to afford a place like this on my own. Vincent stepped closer. The house is yours, Tanya. Paid in full. No mortgage, no rent. I'll put it in your name. Whether I'm in your life or not, you'll always have this home. You'll never have to worry about being homeless or struggling to pay rent. That security is yours forever. Why? The question came out as a whisper. Why are you doing all this for us? Vincent was close enough now that Tanya could see the flecks of gray in his blue eyes. Close enough that she could smell his cologne, something expensive and subtle. Because you matter to me. Because Sophie matters to me. Because for the first time in 3 years I feel like I'm doing something meaningful with my wealth. He reached up, gently wiping a tear from her cheek. Because maybe I'm a little bit in love with you and I'm trying to show you in the only way I know how. The world stopped. Tanya couldn't breathe, couldn't think. Had he really just said that? You're in love with me? Completely. Vincent's smile was tender. I know this is fast. I know it's complicated. You're going through treatment, dealing with so much. But I can't help how I feel. These past few months with you and Sophie have been the happiest of my life. Tanya's heart felt too big for her chest. I think I'm falling in love with you too. The words hung between them, delicate and powerful. Then Vincent leaned in slowly, giving her time to pull away. But Tanya didn't want to pull away. She wanted this, wanted him, wanted the chance at something beautiful after so much darkness. Their lips met softly. The kiss was gentle, sweet, full of promise. When they pulled apart, both were smiling. So, Vincent said, should I buy the house? Tanya laughed through her tears. Yes, please. Thank you. They sealed it with another kiss. Outside, Sophie's laughter drifted through the window as she played on the swing set. Inside, Tanya felt something she'd been afraid to feel. The belief that she might actually have a future to look forward to. Can you believe how far Tanya has come? From collapsing in a mall to finding love and hope. But is it too good to be true? Will the treatment continue to work? Don't miss what happens next in this journey. Subscribe and let me know in the comments if you believe in second chances at love. Moving day happened 2 weeks later. Vincent hired professional movers who handled everything. Tanya and Sophie arrived at their new home to find the furniture already arranged, boxes unpacked, and even groceries stocked in the kitchen. I took the liberty of furnishing the place, Vincent admitted. I hope you don't mind. I wanted you to walk into a ready home, not an empty house. Tanya walked through each room in wonder. The living room had a comfortable couch in a soft blue fabric, matching armchairs and a television on the wall. Sophie's bedroom was decorated in pink and yellow with a princess canopy bed, a desk for homework and shelves full of books and toys. The master bedroom took Tanya's breath away. A king-sized bed with a fluffy white comforter. A dresser with a mirror. Lamps with soft lighting. Everything felt like a dream. How did you know what to get? Ruth helped. And I might have consulted with my sister Patricia on the decorating. Vincent looked uncertain. If you don't like anything, we can change it. It's perfect. All of it. Sophie ran through the house squealing with delight, discovering new treasures in every room. She found stuffed animals on her bed, art supplies in her desk, even a small bookshelf shaped like a castle. That night, they ordered pizza and ate in their new dining room. It felt surreal. Just 2 months ago, Tanya had been dying in a studio apartment with no hope. Now she sat in a beautiful house with her daughter and the man she was falling for, talking about normal things like what color to paint the bathroom. I still can't believe this is real, Tanya said after Sophie went to bed. Vincent pulled her close on the couch. It's real. You're really here, really getting better, really building a life. Thanks to you. No. Thanks to you for being brave enough to fight. For accepting help when it was offered. For letting me into your life. They kissed again, still getting used to this new dimension of their relationship. Every touch felt electric. Every moment together felt precious. As December progressed, life settled into a comfortable pattern. Tanya continued treatment twice a week. The side effects were minimal now. Dr. Chin reported steady progress. The tumors continued shrinking. Ruth came to the new house twice a week, though there was less to do in a space Tanya could actually maintain. Vincent visited almost daily, often staying for dinner. He taught Sophie to ride the bicycle he'd bought her. He helped Tanya plant a winter garden in the backyard. He fixed things around the house, insisting he liked being useful. Don't you have a company to run? Tanya teased. I have excellent managers. And I work remotely most days now. You changed your whole life for us. Best decision I ever made. Sophie's 7th birthday fell on December 15th. Vincent went overboard with the celebration. He rented a bounce house for the backyard and invited Sophie's entire class. There were games, a magician, a face painter, and more cake than 20 kids could possibly eat. Tanya watched from the porch, wrapped in a warm red coat. She'd gained back 15 pounds and had more energy than she'd felt in a year. The treatment was working better than anyone expected. Dr. Chin had started using the word remission in cautious tones. Vincent came to sit beside her. Having fun. Watching Sophie this happy makes me happy. She deserves it. You both do. I never got to thank you properly. For everything. You thank me every day by getting better. Tanya leaned her head on his shoulder. I love you. I know it's fast, but I do. I love you, Vincent. I love you too. He kissed the top of her head. More than I knew I could love anyone. They sat together watching Sophie play with her friends, and Tanya felt completely at peace. This was healing too, she realized. Not just the medicine pumping through her veins, but the love surrounding her. The joy of watching her daughter thrive. The comfort of having someone to lean on. Christmas preparations began in earnest. Vincent brought over boxes of decorations. They spent an evening stringing lights on the house, making it glow bright against the dark December night. Sophie carefully placed ornaments on the tree while Christmas music played. "This is the best Christmas ever," Sophie declared. And it was. Even though it was only mid-December, even though the actual holiday was still days away, Tanya felt the truth of her daughter's words. 1 year ago, Tanya had been healthy but alone, struggling to make ends meet after her husband's death. 6 months ago, she'd been diagnosed with cancer and given a death sentence. 3 months ago, she'd collapsed in a mall with no hope. Now she had a home. She had health returning slowly but surely. She had Vincent, who loved her without reservation. She had Sophie, thriving in ways Tanya had stopped letting herself imagine. The experimental treatment continued to exceed expectations. By mid-December, Tanya's tumors had shrunk 60%. Dr. Chin scheduled her for surgery to remove what remained. "If the surgery is successful and the pathology comes back clean, we might be looking at remission," the doctor explained. "I don't want to promise anything, but Tanya, you're doing remarkably well." The surgery was scheduled for January 5th. Vincent held her hand during the pre-op appointment, squeezing gently when the doctors explained risks and recovery time. "I'll be there," he promised. "Every step of the way." "I know you will." That knowledge sustained Tanya through the anxious days of waiting. Vincent kept her distracted with movies, games, and long conversations. They talked about the future, making plans neither had dared to make before. "After you're in remission, what do you want to do?" Vincent asked one night. "Go back to school maybe? Finish my dental hygiene degree." Tanya smiled. "Give Sophie a stable life. Maybe travel a little." "Where would you want to go?" "Anywhere warm. I've never seen the ocean." "We'll go to Hawaii. All three of us. After you're recovered from surgery." "You do that." "I'd do anything for you." On Christmas Eve, snow finally fell. Sophie pressed her face against the window, watching the fat flakes drift down. Vincent had shown up with presents that he placed under the tree, refusing to let anyone peek. They made cookies together, the three of them laughing as flour dusted every surface. They watched Christmas movies curled up on the couch. They read the Christmas story from an illustrated children's Bible. That night, after Sophie was asleep, Vincent and Tanya sat by the fireplace. The Christmas tree lights twinkled softly. Snow continued to fall outside. "Thank you," Tanya whispered, "for giving us this, for saving my life. You saved mine too. You just didn't realize it." "How?" Vincent turned to face her fully. "Before I met you, I was just existing. Making money, running companies, but not really living. I'd shut down after Rebecca died. Kept people at arm's length. Then I heard Sophie whisper to Santa, and something in me cracked open." He took both her hands in his. "You and Sophie reminded me what matters. Well, family. Being there for people. Making a difference in ways that actually count. You've made all the difference to us. And you to me." Vincent reached into his pocket. "Which is why I want to ask you something." Tanya's heart raced as he pulled out a small velvet box. "I know it's fast. I know we're still figuring things out. But I also know I want to spend the rest of my life with you and Sophie. I want to make this family official." He opened the box, revealing a simple diamond ring. "Tanya Morrison, will you marry me?" Tears streamed down Tanya's face. "Yes. Yes, absolutely yes." Vincent slipped the ring onto her finger. It fit perfectly. Then he pulled her into a kiss that felt like a promise, like forever, like coming home. Outside, snow blanketed the world in white. Inside, by the warm glow of Christmas lights, two people who'd found each other in the darkest moment created their own miracle. Well, hope. The second chance at life. Everything Tanya had stopped believing in, everything she'd thought she'd lost, had found its way back to her. And it was more beautiful than she'd ever imagined. Christmas morning arrived with brilliant sunshine reflecting off fresh snow. Sophie woke up at 6 a.m., shaking Tanya awake with barely contained excitement. Mommy, it snowed. And Santa came. Wake up." Tanya smiled, pulling her daughter close for a hug. "Merry Christmas, baby. Can we open presents now? Please? Let's wait for Mr. V. He'll be here soon." But Sophie noticed something else. "Mommy, why are you wearing that pretty ring?" Tanya held up her hand, letting the diamond catch the light. "Mr. V asked me to marry him last night. We're going to be a real family." Sophie's shriek of joy probably woke the neighbors. She jumped on the bed, dancing and laughing. "Really? Really truly? Mr. V is going to be my new daddy? If you want him to be." "I do. I do want that." Vincent arrived an hour later with coffee and fresh pastries from the bakery. Sophie launched herself at him the moment he walked through the door. We're going to be a family. A real family. You're going to be my daddy. Vincent caught her, spinning her around. Is that okay with you? It's the best thing ever. They settled in the living room to open presents. Vincent had bought way too much, but Tanya didn't have the heart to scold him. Sophie tore through wrapping paper, discovering dolls, games, art supplies, books, and clothes. One more, Vincent said, pulling out a large box wrapped in red paper. Sophie opened it to reveal a puppy. A tiny golden retriever with a red bow around its neck. The puppy immediately licked Sophie's face, making her giggle uncontrollably. A puppy. A real puppy. Mommy, look. I see, baby. Tanya shot Vincent a look. He shrugged innocently. Every kid needs a dog. You're impossible. You love me anyway. I do. Sophie named the puppy Snowflake and refused to put her down all morning. They played with new toys, took Snowflake outside to explore the snowy yard, and made a huge breakfast together. Around noon the doorbell rang. Vincent answered it to find his sister Patricia and her husband Tom. They'd driven down from their home upstate to spend Christmas Day. Patricia immediately embraced Tanya. I've heard so much about you. Vincent talks about you and Sophie constantly. All good things, I hope. The best things. I'm so glad my brother finally found someone to love. They spent the afternoon together, a makeshift family sharing food and laughter. Patricia told embarrassing stories about Vincent as a child. Tom played board games with Sophie. The puppy ran around getting into everything. Later, after Patricia and Tom left, Tanya and Vincent cleaned up while Sophie played with Snowflake. Your sister is lovely, Tanya said. She likes you. She said Vincent seems happier than she's seen him in years. I feel the same about you. They worked in comfortable silence, loading the dishwasher and putting away leftovers. It felt domestic and right. Like they'd been doing this forever instead of just a few months. That evening, they video called Rebecca's children in Seattle. The kids were excited to hear about Vincent's engagement. The oldest, a girl named Emily who was now 11, asked Sophie all about school and her new puppy. Uncle Vincent, you have to bring them to visit us, Emily said. We will. This summer, maybe? After the call, Vincent seemed thoughtful. Tanya curled up beside him on the couch. What are you thinking about? How Rebecca would have loved you. How she would have been happy that I found this. Tell me about her. Really tell me. I want to know. So Vincent talked. About growing up with a sister who understood him. About Rebecca's kindness, her humor, her fierce love for her children. About watching her waste away, feeling helpless despite all his money and power. The worst part was the end, Vincent said quietly. She was so brave right up until she couldn't be anymore. She made me promise to take care of her kids, to make sure they were okay. And then she was gone. Tanya held him while he cried. It was the first time she'd seen him break down. All the grief he'd been carrying, all the guilt, came pouring out. You kept your promise, Tanya said. You take care of them. And now you're saving me. Rebecca would be proud of you. I hope so. They stayed up late talking about loss and love and second chances. About how grief and joy could exist in the same space. About how helping Tanya had helped Vincent heal too. The days between Christmas and New Year passed in a peaceful blur. Tanya grew stronger each day. Her surgery was scheduled for early January, and Dr. Chen was optimistic about the outcome. Vincent insisted on planning a New Year's Eve celebration at home. Nothing fancy, just the three of them. He set up a countdown clock and bought party hats and noisemakers. They made fancy appetizers and watched the celebrations on television. At midnight, with Sophie already asleep upstairs, Vincent and Tanya stepped onto the back porch. The night was cold and clear, stars scattered across the dark sky. New year, new beginning, Vincent said, wrapping his arms around her. I never thought I'd see this year. When they diagnosed me, I didn't think I'd make it to Christmas. But you did. You fought and you won. We won. You and me and Sophie. We all fought together. They kissed as fireworks exploded somewhere in the distance. Colorful lights bloomed against the dark sky, celebrating the end of one chapter and the beginning of another. I love you, Tanya said. I love you so much. I love you too. And I promise I'm going to spend every day of the rest of our lives making you happy. You already do. January arrived with cold winds and gray skies. Surgery day loomed closer. Tanya tried not to be nervous, but fear crept in during quiet moments. What if something went wrong? What if the cancer had spread more than the scans showed? What if she didn't wake up? Vincent seemed to sense her worry. He stuck close, always finding ways to distract her. They watched movies, played games with Sophie, took walks around the neighborhood when the weather allowed. The night before surgery, Tanya couldn't sleep. She got up at 2 a.m. and found Vincent in the kitchen making tea. "Couldn't sleep either?" he asked. "Too nervous." Vincent handed her a mug. "Everything is going to be fine. Dr. Chin is the best. The surgery is routine. You're going to wake up cancer-free and ready to start your new life." "You sound so certain." "I am certain. You're strong, Tanya. You've already beaten the odds. This is just the final step." They sat at the kitchen table, holding hands and drinking tea. Outside the world was dark and still. But inside there was light and warmth and love. "Whatever happens tomorrow," Tanya said, "I want you to know that these past few months have been the happiest of my life. You gave me hope when I had none. You gave Sophie a father when she needed one. You saved us in every way a person can be saved. You saved me too. Never forget that." They talked until dawn, making plans for the future. Wedding ideas, vacation destinations, dreams for Sophie's education. All the things Tanya had stopped letting herself imagine. When the sun rose, painting the sky pink and gold, Tanya felt ready. Ready for surgery, ready for healing, ready for whatever came next. Because she wasn't alone anymore. She had Vincent, she had Sophie, she had hope. And that made all the difference. The surgery was scheduled for 7 a.m. Vincent and Sophie drove Tanya to the hospital in pre-dawn darkness. Sophie clutched Snowflake's toy leash, having been convinced to leave the real puppy at home with Ruth. "Mommy will be fine," Sophie said, as if she was the one reassuring the adults. "The doctors are going to take out all the bad stuff and then Mommy will be all better." "That's right, sweetheart," Vincent said. At the hospital, they checked in and were taken to a pre-op room. Tanya changed into a hospital gown while a nurse went over final paperwork. Dr. Chin stopped by, confident and reassuring. "We're going to take excellent care of you. The surgery should take about 4 hours. Then recovery. If everything goes well, you'll be home in 3 days." Vincent held Tanya's hand. "I'll be right here waiting. Take care of Sophie. Don't let her worry." "I will. I love you." "I love you too." They wheeled Tanya away. Vincent and Sophie settled in the waiting room with books and snacks. Patricia arrived an hour later to sit with them. The surgery took longer than expected. 4 hours became 5, then 6. Vincent paced. Patricia tried to distract Sophie with games. The waiting room felt like a prison. Finally, at 2 p.m., Dr. Chin appeared. She looked tired but pleased. "The surgery went well. We removed all visible cancer. I'm sending the tissue samples to pathology, but everything looks clean." Vincent nearly collapsed with relief. "Can we see her?" "She's in recovery. Give it another hour." That hour felt endless. When they finally let Vincent into the recovery room, Tanya was still groggy from anesthesia but awake. "Hey," she mumbled. "Hey yourself." Vincent kissed her forehead. "You did it. The cancer is gone." "Really gone?" Dr. Chin got it all. Tears leaked from Tanya's eyes. "I'm going to live." "You're going to live." They moved her to a regular room that evening. Sophie was allowed to visit, climbing carefully onto the bed to hug her mother. "You're all better now, right, Mommy?" "Getting there, baby. Getting there." The first night was rough. Tanya hurt everywhere. The pain medication made her nauseous. She couldn't sleep, too uncomfortable to find a good position. Vincent stayed with her, holding her hand through the worst moments. By the second day she felt slightly better. Could sit up, eat a little, walk a few steps with help. Dr. Chin checked the incisions and pronounced everything healing nicely. Pathology results should be back in 48 hours. Until then, rest and recover. But on the third day, complications arose. Tanya developed a fever. Her incision showed signs of infection. Dr. Chin put her on strong antibiotics and ordered her to stay in the hospital longer. "It's a setback but not uncommon," the doctor explained. "We'll monitor you closely. The infection should clear up in a few days." A few days turned into a week. The fever came and went. Tanya felt weak, frustrated, scared. She'd been so close to going home, to starting her new life. Now she was stuck in a hospital bed watching medical dramas on television. Vincent visited every day, staying for hours. He brought Sophie every evening after school. Patricia brought care packages with soft pajamas and good books. Ruth sent home-cooked meals that Tanya could barely eat. The infection finally cleared after 10 days. Dr. Chin approved her discharge, but with strict orders. Complete bed rest for 2 weeks. No lifting, no stretching, no overdoing it. Let your body heal. At home, Vincent moved into the guest room to be close if Tanya needed anything at night. Ruth came daily. Sophie tried to help, bringing her mother water and magazines. "I'm tired of being weak," Tanya said one afternoon. "I survived cancer only to be knocked down by an infection." "You'll bounce back." Vincent adjusted her pillows. "Give it time." But time felt slow and heavy. Tanya hated being helpless. Hated that Sophie saw her like this. Hated that their perfect Christmas miracle was being interrupted by medical complications. 2 weeks of bed rest became 3. The incision healed slowly. Tanya developed another small infection that required more antibiotics. She felt like her body was betraying her, refusing to cooperate even though the cancer was gone. Vincent never wavered. He brought meals on trays. Read to her when she was too tired to hold a book. Helped her to the bathroom when she needed it. Held her when she cried from frustration. "I should be better by now," Tanya sobbed one evening. "I should be planning our wedding, living my life. Instead, I'm stuck in bed like an invalid." "You're healing. Real healing takes time." "I'm ruining everything." "You're not ruining anything." Vincent wiped her tears. "We have the rest of our lives. A few weeks doesn't matter in the grand scheme. But what if something else goes wrong? What if the cancer comes back? What if I never get to be the person I want to be for you and Sophie? Then we'll deal with it. Together. That's what families do." His steadiness anchored her. Even when Tanya wanted to give up, Vincent's faith kept her going. Finally, in early February, she turned a corner. The incisions fully healed. Her strength returned gradually. She could walk around the house without exhaustion. Could play with Sophie for short periods. Could have conversations without her mind fogging over. Pathology results came back clean. No cancer detected anywhere. Dr. Chin officially declared her in remission. "You're cancer-free, Tanya. Completely cancer-free." The words felt surreal. After months of fighting, of fearing, of preparing to die, Tanya was actually going to live. She called Vincent immediately. He arrived 30 minutes later, sweeping her into a careful hug. "Cancer-free. Oh my God, you're cancer-free." They cried together, tears of relief and joy. All the fear, all the pain, all the uncertainty had led to this moment. That evening they told Sophie. Her daughter danced around the living room, Snowflake barking and chasing her in circles. "Mommy's not sick anymore. Mommy's going to be okay." "I'm going to be okay," Tanya repeated, letting the truth of it sink in. Vincent ordered takeout from Tanya's favorite restaurant. They ate together at the dining room table, feeling like a normal family doing normal things. "What do you want to do first?" Vincent asked. "Now that you're in remission? Besides marry you?" "Besides that." Tanya thought about it. "I want to go to the ocean. I want to feel sand between my toes and swim in salt water. I want to do something I never thought I'd get to do." "Then that's what we'll do. As soon as you're strong enough to travel, we'll go to Hawaii. All 3 of us." "Really? Really? I promised, didn't I?" That night, after Sophie went to bed, Tanya stood in front of her bathroom mirror. She looked different than she had 4 months ago. Thinner, paler, with visible scars from surgery. But also stronger. More alive. Her eyes held hope instead of resignation. She traced the engagement ring on her finger, thinking about second chances. About how close she'd come to missing all of this. About the billionaire CEO who'd overheard a little girl's Christmas wish and decided to change their lives. Vincent appeared in the doorway. "What are you thinking about?" "How grateful I am. How lucky we are. We really are." He wrapped his arms around her from behind, both of them looking at their reflection. "I can't wait to marry you. Soon," Tanya promised. "As soon as I'm strong enough for a wedding. We could elope. Go to City Hall. Keep it simple. Or we could have a real ceremony. Nothing huge but something special. For Sophie. Whatever you want." Tanya leaned back against him, feeling safe and loved and hopeful. The hard part was over. The cancer was gone. Now it was time to live the life she'd been fighting for. A life filled with love, family, and endless possibilities. March arrived with warming temperatures and the first hints of spring. Tanya grew stronger each day. She could take long walks around the neighborhood. Could cook meals and do light housework. Could play actively with Sophie and Snowflake in the backyard. Dr. Chin scheduled regular checkups every 3 months. Each visit brought good news. The scans stayed clear. Blood work looked normal. Tanya was officially thriving. "You're one of our success stories," Dr. Chin said at the April appointment. "The treatment worked better than we could have hoped. Thanks to Vincent funding it. Thanks to you being a fighter." With her health restored, Tanya started thinking about the future in concrete ways. She applied to finish her dental hygiene degree. Vincent paid the tuition without hesitation, encouraging her to pursue her dreams. You're brilliant. You should use that brain. It's been years since I was in school. So, you've proven you can overcome anything. Classes started in September, which gave Tanya the spring and summer to regain full strength. In the meantime, she focused on planning their wedding. They decided on a June date. Small ceremony in their backyard, just close family and friends. Sophie would be the flower girl. Patricia would serve as maid of honor. Vincent's business partner agreed to be best man. Are you sure you don't want something bigger? Tanya asked as they addressed invitations. You're a CEO. Don't you have people who expect an elaborate wedding? I don't care what anyone expects. I want what makes you happy. This makes me happy. Small and intimate. Just the people we love. Planning the wedding gave Tanya purpose. She chose flowers, tasted cakes, picked out a simple white dress. Sophie helped with decorations, insisting on purple and yellow as the wedding colors. Because purple is royal and yellow is happy, Sophie explained. In May, Vincent surprised them with plane tickets to Hawaii. 2 weeks at a beachfront resort. Their pre-wedding vacation. Sophie had never seen the ocean. Neither had Tanya. The first day at the beach, they stood at the water's edge, feeling waves wash over their feet. It's so big, Sophie whispered. It goes on forever. Tanya breathed in salt air and sunshine. Felt sand between her toes. Watched dolphins jumping in the distance. This was what life looked like on the other side of cancer. Beautiful, vast, full of wonder. Vincent taught Sophie to swim in the resort pool. They built sandcastles on the beach. Went snorkeling and saw tropical fish. Ate fresh pineapple and watched sunsets that painted the sky in shades of orange and pink. One evening, after Sophie was asleep, Tanya and Vincent walked along the beach holding hands. Thank you for this, Tanya said. For giving us memories we'll treasure forever. Thank you for surviving. For fighting when it would have been easier to give up. I almost did give up. That day in the mall I thought it was over. I thought I'd watch one more Christmas with Sophie and then I'd die. But you didn't die. You lived. And now we get to do this. They stopped walking. Waves crashed nearby. Stars filled the sky. Vincent pulled Tanya close and kissed her with a passion that made her heart race. I can't wait to call you my wife, he murmured against her lips. Only 3 more weeks. Those 3 weeks flew by. Back home, final preparations consumed them. The yard was cleaned and decorated. A florist set up an arch covered in purple and yellow flowers. Chairs were arranged on the lawn. The night before the wedding, Patricia took Sophie for a sleepover. Vincent and Tanya had the house to themselves. This is it, Tanya said. Tomorrow we become a family officially. We've been a family for months. Tomorrow just makes it legal. They stayed up late talking about everything and nothing. About how far they'd come. About dreams for the future. About Sophie and whether they might want more children someday. I'd love to give Sophie a brother or sister, Tanya admitted. If my body can handle pregnancy after everything it's been through. Dr. Chin said you're healthy enough. But only if you want to. I do want to. Not right away but eventually. Then eventually we will. They fell asleep wrapped in each other's arms, excited for the morning to come. The wedding day dawned clear and beautiful. Warm sunshine, blue skies, a perfect June afternoon. Patricia helped Tanya get ready while Vincent got dressed in the guest room. Tanya's dress was simple but elegant. White lace with a flowing skirt. She wore her hair down in loose curls. Light makeup made her look radiant. You're gorgeous, Patricia said. Vincent's going to cry when he sees you. I'm already crying. At 3 p.m. the ceremony began. 20 guests sat in the backyard. Sophie walked down the makeshift aisle dropping purple and yellow flower petals. Then the music changed and Tanya appeared. Vincent stood by the flower arch and Patricia was right. Tears streamed down his face as Tanya walked toward him. She looked healthy, alive, beautiful. Nothing like the dying woman he'd met 6 months ago. The ceremony was short and sweet. They'd written their own vows. Tanya, Vincent began, voice shaking with emotion. You came into my life when I'd stopped believing in hope. You and Sophie reminded me what love looks like, what family means, what really matters. You fought for your life with courage that humbled me. You accepted my help with grace that changed me. I promise to love you, honor you, and stand by your side through whatever comes. You are my miracle, my heart, my home. Tanya could barely speak through her tears. Vincent, you saved my life in every way possible. You gave me hope when I had none. You gave Sophie a father she desperately needed. You showed me that love can appear in the darkest moments and transform everything. I promise to love you fiercely, to build a life with you that honors the second chance you gave me, to be the partner you deserve. You are my answered prayer, my greatest blessing, my forever love." The officiant pronounced them husband and wife. Vincent kissed Tanya while their guests applauded. Sophie rushed forward to join them, and they hugged as a family for the first time as the Hayes. Tanya had changed her name. No longer Morrison but Hayes. A fresh start in every way. The reception was casual and joyful. They ate catered barbecue, danced on the grass, cut a small cake decorated with purple and yellow flowers. Sophie gave a speech about how happy she was to have a daddy. Patricia told funny stories about Vincent as a child. As the sun set, Vincent and Tanya had their first dance as husband and wife. The song was At Last by Etta James. Tanya rested her head on Vincent's chest, feeling his heart beat steady and strong. "We did it," she whispered. "We actually did it." "Best day of my life," Vincent replied. "Well, second best. First best was the day I met you. Even though I was collapsing on a mall floor? Especially because of that. It brought you into my life." They swayed together as twilight deepened into night. Around them fairy lights twinkled. Sophie danced with Patricia. Guests laughed and celebrated. Tanya thought about the journey that led here. The diagnosis, the despair, the moment in line for Santa when Sophie had whispered her heartbreaking wish. The billionaire stranger who'd overheard and decided to help. The treatment, the setbacks, the slow climb back to health. Every painful moment had been worth it to arrive at this perfect evening. "I love you," Tanya said. "I love you too. Forever and always." "Forever and always," Tanya echoed. And as the stars came out above their little backyard celebration, Tanya felt absolutely certain that forever would be wonderful. Summer passed in a golden blur. Tanya started her dental hygiene classes in September, throwing herself into studying with enthusiasm. Vincent cut back his work hours to be home more. Sophie thrived in second grade. They settled into married life easily. Morning coffees together. Evening walks with Snowflake. Weekend trips to parks and museums. Normal family routines that felt extraordinary because Tanya had nearly missed them all. Dr. Chen's 3-month checkup in October showed clear scans. 6 months cancer-free. The doctor smiled when she delivered the news. "You're doing wonderfully. Keep living your life. That's the plan." In November, Tanya finished her first semester with straight A's. Vincent threw a small celebration, proud of his wife's accomplishment. Sophie made a congratulations card with careful lettering and drawings of stethoscopes. "I want to be smart like Mommy when I grow up," Sophie said. "You're already smart, sweetheart." Thanksgiving arrived. They hosted dinner at their house. Patricia and Tom came down with their kids. Rebecca's children flew in from Seattle with their father. The house filled with laughter and love and too much food. Watching all these people together, seeing Sophie play with her cousins, Tanya felt overwhelming gratitude. A year ago she'd been preparing to die. Now she was surrounded by family, healthy and happy and building a future. After dinner, while others watched football, Vincent and Tanya stepped onto the back porch. The November air was crisp but not too cold. "I've been thinking," Vincent said, "about expanding our family." Tanya's heart skipped. "You want to have a baby? If you're ready?" Dr. Chin said your body has healed enough. "But only if you want to." "I do want to. I've been thinking about it too." Tanya smiled. Sophie would be a great big sister. She would. "So we're doing this. We're doing this." They started trying in December. Between Tanya's classes and Vincent's work and Sophie's activities, life was full and busy. But they carved out time for each other, for their growing love, for the possibility of new life. Christmas came again. Their second one together, but so different from the first. No fear, no cancer, no uncertainty. Just joy and celebration. They took Sophie to see Santa again at the same mall where it all began. Sophie sat on Santa's lap and asked for a baby brother or sister. "That's up to your parents, not me," Santa said with a wink. "I know. But maybe you can put in a good word with God." Tanya laughed. Her daughter's faith was simple and pure. Why wouldn't God answer prayers? He'd already given them so many miracles. In January, Tanya missed her period. She took a pregnancy test with shaking hands. 2 pink lines appeared. Pregnant. She told Vincent that evening after Sophie went to bed. He picked her up and spun her around, both of them laughing. "We're having a baby. We're really having a baby. Are you happy?" "I'm over the moon," they told Sophie the next day. She screamed with excitement and immediately started planning her duties as big sister. "I'll teach the baby everything. How to walk and talk and play with Snowflake. I'm going to be the best big sister ever." "I know you will, baby." The pregnancy progressed smoothly. No complications, no concerns. Tanya's body, which had fought so hard against cancer, seemed to embrace growing new life. She glowed with health and happiness. Dr. Chin monitored her carefully, but everything looked perfect. The cancer stayed gone. The baby grew strong. In February, Tanya finished another semester of school. One more year and she'd graduate. The future she'd stopped imagining was becoming reality, one achievement at a time. March brought Tanya's one-year cancer-free anniversary. Dr. Chin hugged her at the checkup, something the usually professional doctor rarely did. "You beat the odds, Tanya. You're a walking miracle." "I had help. A lot of help." "You had help, but you did the work. Be proud of yourself." Tanya was proud. Proud of surviving, of thriving, of building this beautiful life from the ashes of despair. In April they learned the baby was a boy. Sophie insisted on naming him Nathan, after a character in her favorite book. Vincent and Tanya agreed. "Nathan Hayes," Vincent said, testing the name. "I like it." "Nathan Vincent Hayes," Tanya corrected. "So he carries your name too." Vincent's eyes grew wet. "Really? Really? You gave me life. The least I can do is name our son after you." They prepared Nathan's room. Painted it a soft blue. Set up a crib and changing table. Sophie helped choose decorations, insisting on stuffed animals and books. "Babies need books so they grow up smart," she declared. As Tanya's belly grew, so did their excitement. Vincent talked to the baby every night, telling Nathan about the world he'd soon enter. Sophie sang to her little brother, making up songs about being a family. In late May, just before Sophie's 8th birthday, Tanya went into labor. Vincent drove her to the hospital at 2 a.m. while Patricia stayed with Sophie. The labor was long but uncomplicated. Tanya breathed through contractions, squeezing Vincent's hand. He never left her side, coaching her through each push. Finally, at 3 p.m. on May 28th, Nathan Vincent Hayes was born. 6 pounds 8 ounces. Perfect in every way. They placed him on Tanya's chest. She looked down at her son, this new life she'd created, and sobbed. Happy tears, grateful tears, overwhelmed tears. "We made a person," she said to Vincent. "We made a perfect person." Vincent cut the cord, his hands shaking. Then he kissed Tanya's forehead. "You're amazing. Absolutely amazing." Sophie met her brother that evening. She climbed carefully onto the hospital bed, gazing at Nathan with wonder. "He's so tiny. And perfect. I love him already. He's lucky to have you as his big sister." They brought Nathan home 2 days later. The house filled with baby sounds, crying and cooing and the soft noises of newborn life. Snowflake was curious but gentle, sniffing the baby and then lying protectively nearby. Tanya breastfed Nathan while watching Sophie play in the yard. Vincent worked from home, taking breaks to hold his son. Ruth came by with meals and help. Patricia visited with gifts. Life was chaotic and exhausting and absolutely perfect. One night, a few weeks after Nathan's birth, Tanya sat in the rocking chair nursing him. Vincent came in quietly and sat on the floor beside them. "What are you thinking about?" he asked. "About how this almost didn't happen. How I almost missed all of this." Tanya looked down at Nathan's small face, peaceful as he ate. "If you hadn't helped me, I'd be dead. Sophie would be an orphan. Nathan would never have existed. But I did help. And you're alive. And we're a family. Do you ever regret it? Taking on someone else's crisis? Changing your whole life?" Vincent looked shocked. "Regret it? Tanya, meeting you and Sophie was the best thing that ever happened to me. You gave me purpose. You gave me love. You gave me a family when I was lonely and lost. I should be asking if you regret marrying someone who can be workaholic and stubborn." "Never. Not for a second." Nathan finished nursing and fell asleep in Tanya's arms. She passed him to Vincent, who held his son with reverent care. "I used to pray for miracles," Vincent said softly. "When Rebecca was sick, I begged God to save her. When she died, I stopped believing in miracles. But then I heard Sophie whisper to Santa and something changed. I felt like maybe this was my chance to be part of a miracle instead of just watching from the sidelines. You were the miracle. You saved us." "No. You saved yourself by being brave enough to accept help. By fighting for your life. By letting me into your world." Vincent looked up at her. "We saved each other, Tanya. That's the real miracle." Tanya moved to sit beside him on the floor. Together they watched Nathan sleep. Perfect and peaceful, unaware of the journey his parents had taken to bring him into the world. "I love you," Tanya whispered. "More than I can ever express." "I love you too. You, Sophie, Nathan. You're my everything." They sat together in the quiet nursery, a family born from tragedy and hope, from kindness and courage, from a whispered prayer that was answered in the most unexpected way. And Tanya knew with absolute certainty that they would face whatever came next together. As a family. Forever. Nathan's first year passed in a beautiful blur. First smile, first laugh, first tooth. Tanya documented everything with photos that filled albums and the walls of their home. Sophie was a devoted big sister. She helped with feedings, sang him to sleep, made him laugh with silly faces. Even Snowflake was gentle, letting the baby grab at his fur without complaint. Tanya finished her dental hygiene degree in the spring. Walking across the stage to receive her diploma with Vincent, Sophie, and baby Nathan cheering in the audience, she felt proud of how far she'd come. From dying cancer patient to college graduate. From hopeless to thriving. She got a job at a family dental practice, working 3 days a week so she could still be home with Nathan. The flexible schedule was perfect, letting her balance career and motherhood. Vincent continued to succeed in business, but he'd learned to prioritize family over work. He coached Sophie's soccer team. He took Nathan to baby music classes. He made sure to be home for dinner most nights. Dr. Chen's checkups continued every 3 months. Each one brought the same wonderful news, still cancer-free. After 2 years they moved to 6-month checkups. After 3 years, annual checkups. "You're officially cured," Dr. Chen said at the 3-year mark. "The cancer's not coming back." Tanya cried happy tears. 3 years cancer-free meant she was truly in remission. The nightmare was officially over. They celebrated with a big party. Family and friends gathered at their home. Vincent gave a speech thanking everyone who'd supported them through the journey. 3 years ago, I overheard a little girl tell Santa that it was her mommy's last Christmas. That whisper changed my life. It brought me to Tanya, to Sophie, and eventually to Nathan. It taught me that love and hope can transform everything. That kindness matters. That family is everything. He raised his glass. To Tanya, the bravest woman I know. To 3 years cancer-free and to many more decades together. To Tanya, everyone echoed. Later, when the party wound down and the kids were asleep, Vincent and Tanya sat on their back porch. The yard where they'd gotten married was peaceful in the moonlight. "I have something to tell you," Vincent said. "I've been working on a project." "What kind of project?" "A foundation. To help other families dealing with cancer. Cover treatment costs, provide housing assistance, offer counseling. Everything we needed and more." Tanya's heart swelled. "Really?" "It's called the Rebecca Morrison Hayes Foundation. Named after my sister and you. Because you both taught me what matters." Vincent pulled out his phone and showed her the website. "We're launching next month. I've already hired staff and secured funding." The website was beautiful. Pictures of families, stories of hope, information about services. At the center was a mission statement about providing comprehensive support to cancer patients and their loved ones. "This is incredible. How long have you been planning this?" "Since you went into remission. I wanted to wait until we knew you were really okay. But I've been dreaming about it since the day I met you." Vincent took her hand. "I couldn't save Rebecca. But I saved you. And now I want to help save others." "You're amazing. This foundation will change so many lives." "I hope so. Because that's what you and Sophie did for me. You changed my life completely." They launched the foundation in November, 4 years after that fateful day in the mall. The event was huge, covered by local media. Tanya told her story, standing beside Vincent at a podium, explaining how one stranger's kindness had saved her life. "If you're fighting cancer, please don't give up. Accept help when it's offered. Fight for every day. Because miracles do happen. I'm living proof." Applications flooded in from families desperate for help. The foundation approved dozens in the first month. They paid for treatments, covered rent, provided childcare. Everything Tanya and Sophie had needed. Vincent hired more staff to handle the demand. He personally reviewed challenging cases, never forgetting what it felt like to watch someone you love face death. Sophie grew into a thoughtful 10-year-old who talked about becoming a doctor someday. Nathan was a happy toddler who loved books and building blocks. Tanya thrived in her job, helping people maintain their health while appreciating her own. 5 years after the diagnosis, Dr. Chen officially discharged Tanya from regular cancer care. "You don't need me anymore. You're healthy. Live your life. Thank you for everything. For believing in the treatment, for taking care of me. Thank Vincent for funding it. And thank yourself for fighting so hard." That Christmas, their 6 together, they returned to the mall where it all began. Sophie was almost 12 now, too old for Santa photos. But they stood near the workshop anyway, remembering. "I whispered to Santa that it was your last Christmas," Sophie said quietly. And Mr. V overheard. I'm so glad he did, Tanya replied, wrapping her arm around her daughter. Me too. Because now we're a real family. With Dad and Nathan and Snowflake. And you're healthy. Santa gave me exactly what I asked for. What did you ask for? More time with you. That's all I wanted. Just more time. Tanya pulled Sophie close, fighting tears. Well, Santa delivered. You're stuck with me for a very long time. They walked through the decorated mall, Nathan riding on Vincent's shoulders. They looked like any normal family doing Christmas shopping. No one would guess the journey that brought them here. That evening, after the kids were in bed, Vincent and Tanya decorated their Christmas tree. They'd done this ritual every year, but it never got old. Remember our first Christmas? Tanya asked, hanging an ornament Sophie had made in kindergarten. I remember being terrified I'd lose you before we could have a second Christmas. And now we're on our sixth. With many more to come. Vincent pulled out a special ornament. A silver angel with the year engraved on it. He'd bought one every year, marking each Christmas they'd celebrated together. Number 6. Tanya hung it on the tree beside the others. A timeline of survival, of love, of family. Thank you, she said suddenly. For everything. For saving my life, for loving Sophie like your own, for giving us this beautiful family. Thank you for seeing us when we needed to be seen. Thank you for letting me in. For accepting my help. For building this life with me. Vincent wrapped his arms around her from behind. You know what Sophie told me last week? What? She said she's glad you got sick because it brought me into their lives. Then she felt guilty for being glad about something bad. I told her it's okay to find silver linings. That sometimes the worst things lead to the best things. She's right though. If I hadn't gotten cancer, we never would have met. Do you ever wish it had happened differently? That we'd met under better circumstances? Tanya thought about it. No. Because this is our story. The diagnosis, the mall, the whisper to Santa. Is what made us who we are. I wouldn't change it. Even though you almost died? Even though I almost died. Because I didn't die. I lived. And now I get this. She gestured around their home, decorated for Christmas, filled with evidence of their love. Photos on the walls, toys scattered across the floor, Nathan's baby swing in the corner, Sophie's backpack by the door. A real life. A full life. The life she'd fought so hard to have. Christmas morning arrived with excited shouts from Sophie and babbling from Nathan. They opened presents as a family, the ritual familiar and comforting. After breakfast, Vincent's phone rang. The foundation calling about an urgent case. A single mother with 2 kids, just diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, no money for treatment. Vincent listened, his expression serious. Then he looked at Tanya. She nodded. Approve it. Cover everything. Send me her information. He hung up and pulled Tanya close. Another family that needs help. Another family we can save. Because that's what they did now. They saved families. They provided hope. They paid forward the miracle that had been given to them. The Rebecca Morrison Hayes Foundation helped hundreds of families over the next few years. Some made full recoveries. Some didn't. But all of them received care, dignity, and support through their hardest moments. Sophie graduated high school at 18 and announced she was going to medical school. I want to be an oncologist, like Dr. Chin, so I can help people like she helped you. Nathan grew into a smart, kind boy who loved science and wanted to cure cancer when he grew up. So nobody's mommy has to be sick like you were. Tanya continued working, helping patients, appreciating every ordinary day. She'd learned that survival wasn't just about medicine. It was about love, about community, about accepting help when you needed it. Vincent's hair grayed at the temples, but he still looked at Tanya like she was the most beautiful woman in the world. They celebrated anniversaries, watched their kids grow, traveled to places they dreamed about. On their 10th anniversary, they renewed their vows in the same backyard where they'd married. Sophie and Nathan stood up with them. Friends and family gathered to celebrate a decade of love. 10 years ago you saved my life, Tanya said in her vows. But you didn't just save my life. You gave me a reason to live it fully. You showed me what love looks like in action. You built this family with me brick by brick, choice by choice. I love you more today than I did on our wedding day, and I'll love you more tomorrow than I do today. Vincent's vows made everyone cry. Tanya, you taught me that wealth means nothing if you don't share it. That money can't buy happiness, but it can buy time, and time gives you a chance at happiness. You took the time I helped give you and filled it with so much love, so much light, that you made me a better person. Thank you for fighting. Thank you for surviving. Thank you for choosing me. That night, Tanya stood in their bedroom looking at a photo collage on the wall. Pictures from the past 10 years. Her first clear scan. Sophie's 8th birthday. Nathan's birth. Vacations, holidays, ordinary moments that made up an extraordinary life. In the center was a photo from that first Christmas. Tanya looked thin and sick but hopeful. Vincent stood beside her and Sophie, his hand on the little girl's shoulder. 3 people who were about to become a family. Vincent came up behind her, wrapping his arms around her waist. "What are you thinking about?" "About second chances. About how one moment of kindness changed everything. About how grateful I am that you overheard Sophie's whisper." "I'm grateful too. Every single day." "Do you think we've paid it forward enough?" "Through the foundation." "I don't think you can ever pay forward a miracle. But we're trying." Tanya turned in his arms, looking up at the man who'd saved her life and then filled it with love. "I love you, Vincent Hayes." "I love you, Tanya Hayes." They kissed, and Tanya felt the same flutter of joy she'd felt that first time in their new house. Some things never got old. Love was one of them. Later, as she drifted off to sleep, Tanya thought about that little girl in line for Santa. The one who'd whispered, "It's Mommy's last Christmas," and set everything in motion. That girl had been right and wrong at the same time. It was Mommy's last Christmas as Tanya Morrison, dying cancer patient with no hope. But it was also the first Christmas of countless more as Tanya Hayes. Wife, mother, survivor, thriver. And that made all the difference.